Hey, Madison.
Hi.
How are you this morning?
Good. Maybe no. I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you. I have both of the reviews kind of loaded, ready to go through both of them. So we have lots of practice problems. And I can also make another one very quickly if you need me to.
Okay.
Is there specific ones you'd like for me to start with, or just go through do you have both reviews?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
The quadratic formula is not.
It's not clicking?
Yeah.
Okay, the other thing I can do is upload that one where it had all those practice problems that we did on Friday, because there was a lot of them to go through.
Okay.
So once if we go through all of them on the worksheet, and then you still feel like you need some more practice, we'll hit that other worksheet. How's that?
Okay. Good.
How about completing the square? Are you feeling pretty good about that?
I mean.
Okay. All right. Well, why don't we start on the review for the weekend?
Okay.
Because a lot of them I did those. Hey, Lily.
Hey.
We're just talking about the fact that I have both reviews up, and we'll go through those problems. And then if we need more practice, I'll either make another worksheet or we'll go through like the quadratic formula worksheet from Friday. There were a ton on that. So we'll just start there and work through some problems till y'all feel comfortable with it.
Okay.
But this is the weekend review. Do you have that?
I'm looking for it, but yes, I should have it.
I think I posted it on Google Classroom if you need to print another one, or you can just write the problems down individually on notebook paper as we go through them. Hey, Madison, are you good with the taking the square roots?
Yes.
Okay. For completing the square on number 7, where you just have to find the value of C, how do you feel about that one?
Where I'm just finding the value of C. That's easier. That's
okay. So where you're basically on the instructions right here on that, I have half it, square it, add it. That's going to be on the instructions for the quiz itself right there as a reminder. And it's all, when I say it, I'm referring to that value right there in the middle, the B value. That's what the it is. So half of 24 is 12. And then 12 squared is 144.
Yeah.
And then half of 21, when it's an odd number like that, you just have to put 21 over 2.
Okay.
And then square both of them, the top and the bottom. So that would end up being 441 over 4. And then this one is going to be 2 squared. So C equals 4. And now this one,
Oh.
11 over 7 divided by 2 is going to be, that's a complex fraction. So 11 over 7 divided by 2. You keep, flip, change. So keep the 11 over 7. Flip, this is always a division symbol, the fraction bar is. So you change it or you flip it to multiplication. And then you do the reciprocal by change the bottom number by giving the reciprocal of 2, which is 1/2. So that's going to be 11 over 14. And then you take that 11 over 14 and square it. And that's going to be 121 over I should know this. 196. Okay?
Okay.
Is that confusing?
The last one was.
Okay.
The other ones I got.
All right. Well, this last one is just making a complex fraction
Okay.
because it's still got the 2 on the bottom. See how all of them really have the 2
Yeah.
on the bottom? We're dividing everything by 2. So this, you're still dividing it by 2, except when you have a complex fraction, you have to use the operations that you've always had to do on fractions. Because like if I gave you this problem, Madison, would you be okay? Well, that's a pretty 7, Miss Sparks. Would you be okay with this?
I guess I would try to figure it out. Yeah.
Okay. Because I was to say that's really all that is. So you keep the first, flip it to multiplication, do the reciprocal. And this literally is the very same thing as that. How about you, Lily? Would that be confusing for you?
Yes.
Okay. Just fractions in general are hard for you guys?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm kind of thinking that maybe one day in class, we might just do a whole bunch of fraction problems because I know there's a lot of them in geometry. So I would just like to make y'all a little more comfortable, so that it's just so that we kind of take some of the fear out of it. I know a lot of students feel that way. Y'all are not alone by any stretch of the means. It was interesting. I was actually working with somebody in their mid-20s who wants to take the ASFAB, which is for the military. And that was their biggest struggle too, was fractions. So we spent 2 or 3 hours on them. Solve each equation by completing the square. So this is where you have to, up here on the C part. So I'm going to give you, Lily, if you didn't find the worksheet, baby girl, I'm going to give you a minute to write down number 11, okay? Did you find it, sweetheart?
No, ma'am.
Okay, well, I'm going to give you a minute to just write down number 11. So up here where we're finding that value for C, down here where we're solving the equation to complete the square, remember how I talked about yesterday? I kind of need to create that space to put that C in there. So what I'm going to do in order to create that space is clear this away. And I have to do that by adding 66 to both sides. So now that's going to leave me n squared plus 4n. And then that cancels. And over here, that gives me a 60. So I've created that space to half it, square it, add it, and make that C value. So when we half it, square it, add it, what is half of 4?
2.
2. And what's 2 squared?
4.
Good job. So we'll add 4 there, and whatever we do to one side of an equation, we need to do to the other. So we'll add 4 to the other side as well. And what happens here is this becomes n plus, what was our half?
2.
2 squared equals 64. Okay? Can you see that okay, even though I'm having to write over other stuff? Okay. All right, so now we'll take the square root of both sides to get that square off that n plus 2 squared. So n plus 2 equals plus or minus, what's the square root of 64?
I think it's 8.
Good job. All right, so now we're going to subtract 2 from both sides. And 8 minus 2 is 6. And negative 8 minus 2 is negative 10. So those are our answers for number 11.
Okay.
How do you feel about that?
I feel better. I got confused when you halved it, squared it, added it. But I got it now.
Okay. You got confused as to when you were supposed to do it? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And so that makes it a little better?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, did you have all that? I'm erasing. I'm sorry.
I got it.
Okay. Lily, did you?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right. Well, we'll do one more to make sure we have that, and then we'll work with the lovely quadratic formula. Okay. Now, once again, we have to create that space to make room to make the C where we half it, square it, add it. And to create that space, we need to get rid of this 99. So we're going to add 99 to both sides. So that's going to get rid of that. And that makes that space for us right there, right next to the 10K, which is what we need. And if I have a negative 7 and I add 99 to it, that's going to give me a positive 92. Yes?
Mm-hmm.
Y'all agree?
Yes.
Okay. What is half of negative 10?
Negative 5.
And if I square negative 5, what happens? What do I get?
Negative 25.
Well, actually, if I do negative 5 times negative 5, I get a positive.
Okay.
So if you typed it into your calculator to get the answer, you have to make sure you type it like this. Because if you type it in your calculator like this, it reads that as the opposite of 5 squared. But if you type it in your calculator like open parentheses, negative 5, close parentheses, squared, it sees that as negative 5 squared. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Little tidbit on the TI. All right, so now we've added 25 because that's squared. We did it to one side, so we have to do it to the other. And before, I asked you guys what was half of negative 10. And it was said that it is negative 5. So that's what's going to go in your little squared thing. I also want to point out at this moment that if you look at k minus 5 squared, way back when we first began multiplying binomials, if I would have given you a binomial that looks like this, you might have actually written it like this.
Mm-hmm.
And then foiled it, right?
Yeah.
And then you would have gotten, right? Which is exactly what you have here.
Oh,
So that's the whole point of completing the square. You are legit making the square yourself. Does that help make a little more sense of it? Okay, good. I feel like I've done something wrong. Does that look right to you all so far?
Yes.
Okay. So now we're going to take the square root of both sides. Do you all see a square root of 117? Is it a perfect square? Does anybody have their calculator? Because I don't feel like it is. Is it?
10.81.
Okay, so it's not a perfect square. That's what I needed to know. Okay. So it is not a perfect square, which is fine. Because I think this is another part that y'all aren't real crazy about.
Yeah.
So 3, and this is, I do the birthday cake method because for me, that's the easiest. Okay, so now I see there's one perfect square in it because 3 times 3. So 9 times 11.
Uh-huh. Oh, it's 99.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait a minute. So did I do something wrong? Oops, I did something wrong. Oops. My bad. Redo that. Erase that. I'm so sorry. I was like, that doesn't sound right to me. It's 9 times 13. Try that one. Yeah. So what that means is that this right here is the same as saying 9 times 13 in the radical, like that.
Uh-huh.
So then this is, if I take the square root of both sides, I get k minus 5 equals. This is a perfect square, so she can come out. She served her time. 13 has to stay in. Okay? So now I'm going to add, and this is plus or minus. I'm going to add 5 to both sides. So your final answer is 5 plus or minus 3 times the square root of 13. And that's exactly what your answer looks like. And we'll get more into that because I feel like that's a piece of the quadratic formula that y'all were struggling with too. Is that correct?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
When you get down to that?
Yes.
All right. Now, when you guys factor, do you prefer doing this?
Yeah, I do it.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to go over here for just a second. And I'm just going to factor this all by itself over here. Is that okay with you guys?
Yes.
And I'm just going to show you. So when you're looking for squares, when you factor through the factor tree, you kind of want to try to keep your small on this side and you're looking for pairs. Why would I be looking for pairs?
To see if there's a perfect square.
Good job. That's it. Exactly. Because if there's a pair, that means it's a perfect square. So then that's going to come out. And a lot of times, maybe it would make more sense to you if you actually wrote it like this in the radical and then cross out your pairs. Like once you get that, cross out your pairs and then do it that way. Is that help?
Yes.
Okay. Did y'all get that written down or did you want to write it?
I got it.
Not trying to convert you or anything, but the reason why I do the birthday cake, for me, when I start doing this, there gets to be sometimes too many numbers. So for me, just to look along the sides for the pairs is a little easier. I actually switched to the birthday cake method because of simplifying radicals. Because trying to look for pairs sometimes in the factor tree was a little harder for me. My sweet little ADD mind just went, wah, all over the place. So, how are y'all doing? Is this better?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just, boom. Like, if it's not a perfect square, then I get, I go crazy.
Okay.
I don't know.
All right. Well, don't let that intimidate you. I know that both of you are very smart and you can absolutely handle breaking all of it down. So just do the next right thing. Like, think to yourself, okay, this turns out to not, like when you type into your calculator, if it's not a perfect square, then just start looking for what it's divisible by and just start doing the factor tree. I can't remember. I haven't worked the test out. The quiz out. So I'm going to take a look at it later, and I'll warn you if there's some not perfect squares and stuff like that. And I'll warn you as to which ones have the radicals in them so that you can just kind of be prepared and just take it step by step and go really, really slow and just do the next right thing. Both of you can handle it. I have no doubts.
Okay.
The other thing that I think I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to the blank page so I don't have a mess down here and write the problem. So over here and work it out. It's 7x squared. What's the next?
Equals 20 plus 11x.
Okay, so I want to get everything to one side. I know that because it has to be in standard form, and it has to be in standard form so that I can identify A, B, and C. And that will be on the quiz. You will have to identify A, B, and C based on whichever side you moved everything to. Okay. What would you all do in this situation? Would you move the 7x squared, or would you move the 20 and the 11x?
I would move the 7x.
Okay. So is that okay with you, Lily, if we do it that way? And I don't mind doing it both ways. What would you do, Lily?
Oh, she's not. She left.
Oh, she left?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, thanks for letting me know.
Yeah. Well, if you move the 20 and 11, would you have to move both of them?
Yes, ma'am.
So my first instinct is just to move.
Keep it simple and move as little as you possibly can, right? The other thing that I would have to do here in order for it to be in standard form and in the correct order, I would have to move my 11x and my 20. Do you see that, or is that too much in one step?
I think I see.
Oops, wait. I just won't do it. Now I have to move this and this to be in the right order because this is my C and this is my B. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So now let's identify A, B, and C. What's A?
-7.
Good job. What's B?
B 11.
And what's C?
20.
Good job. So now I'm going to fill in what all of those equal. So I have negative B, which would be, or opposite of B, which would be the opposite of positive 11, plus or minus the square root of B squared, which would be 11 squared in this case, minus 4 AC, which A is -7 and C is 20, all over 2 times A, which in this case is -7. So X equals opposite of 11 plus or minus 121. -4 times -7 is -28, and -28 is a positive 28 because a negative times a negative is a positive, and positive 28 times 20 is 560. all over negative 14. $121 times or plus 560 is 681. Did you get the same thing?
Mm-hmm.
Did you type it in your calculator to double check us?
Yes, I did.
Good.
Sorry,
Okay.
my computer was glitching. I don't know what happened. It froze.
Oh, I'm sorry, Lily.
We thought you left us.
Yeah, we thought you left us. Do you want to take a minute to copy this down?
That's okay.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay, sweetie. All right, so 681, it's not even, so it's not divisible by 2. So when I'm factoring this, but 6 plus 8 is 14 plus 1 more is 15. So that means it's divisible by 3. 3 goes into 6 2 times. 2 and 2 left over. 227. That's 11. So it's not divisible by 3. It's not divisible. In order to be divisible by 6, you have to be divisible by both 2 and 3. And so that doesn't work. It's not divisible by 5. Is 227 divisible by anything?
I don't know. Not divisible by 8. Not divisible by 9.
Not divisible by 7. It's not divisible by 9, right?
Mm-mm. I'm on 13 and it's still not divisible.
Okay, well, I think then it's reduced as far as it'll go because there's no perfect squares in it. So, this is your answer to that one.
Really? Okay.
So sometimes you just check and it turns out not to be anything, and then you leave it just like that.
Okay. Well, do you want us to make sure we know the quadratic formula? Or are you going to have that tomorrow?
I'll put it up on the board for you guys.
Okay.
I mean, I tried to do lots of little tricks because you are going to use it in geometry too. So, learning it would be really, really good. But maybe what I'll do, I think this is what I'm going to do, is I'll give y'all like 3 minutes to write it down yourself as a bonus. And then I'll put it up on the board. But if you're able to actually write it yourself, maybe that'll be the bonus.
Okay.
So if you can memorize that little row, row, row your boat song. And didn't y'all sing that the other day?
Julia did.
Oh, that's right. I just figure y'all are singers and y'all can learn lyrics to anything. That's why I put that on there. But obviously it's not going to count against you if you don't know it, and it'll just be a bonus if you do. Fair enough?
If we know the song or the formula?
The formula.
Okay.
I just figured it would be easier to memorize it as a lyric to a song. Or is that harder?
It's a little harder because it's math. It just doesn't go. But I'll get it.
It plays in my head, so maybe it's just because it's math. I'm just not the singer that y'all are. Y'all would not want me to sing it. It's not pretty.
I'm sure it sounds good.
Not really. Isn't that right, Mo? My singing? It's not pretty, is it, honey? She's refusing to speak. Lily and Madison.
Mhm.
This she was like, who are the singers that are on there? I said Lily and Madison.
Uh-uh.
Yes, I have singers in math lab today. All right. What's the next problem?
6x squared minus negative 144
144?
minus 144 equals 12x.
Okay, so in order to get it into standard form, I've got to get this 12x over to the other side. So I'm going to subtract 12x from both sides. And while doing that, I'm going to put it in standard order. And that this 12x, we know that's our b term. So she's going to go in the middle. What number is this? Is this 14?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm just saying that I would do this, but if this would confuse you, we won't do this. You can actually factor out a 6 out of this so that you would work with smaller numbers. Do you all want me to do that, or do you not want me to do that because you would never think to do that on the test?
That would just confuse me. But
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it on a test because it would confuse me.
Okay. All right. So what is the A term?
6.
What is the B term?
Negative 12.
And what is the C term?
144, negative 144.
Good job. Negative 144. Okay. X equals, what's the first thing? Just to see if y'all remember. What's it equal?
The opposite of B, so it would be positive 12.
Good job. Now what's next?
12 squared.
Yeah, but what do I write next?
The square root.
The square root of 12 squared.
What operation goes right here?
Positive.
Negative.
Yes, plus or minus. And then my square root. And then negative 12 squared minus what?
4, and then times negative 6, and times negative 144.
It actually is positive 6 in this case, and then negative 144. Because the 6 is positive. Right?
Yeah.
That A is positive?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Now, $12 squared is 144. And then negative 4 times 6 is 24. And 24 times 144 is 3,456. Did y'all get that too? Or no?
Sort of.
What did you get when you multiplied 4, 6, and 144?
Well, my calculator blanked out when I put in all those numbers. So.
Oh, it did?
Mhm.
Would it be 3,456?
Yes. And then we're going to add that 144 to it, which is going to give us 3,600. And the square root of 3,600 is 60. So that's going to give us 12 plus 60 is 72 over 12, which reduces to 6. And then 12 minus 60 reduces to negative 48, or over 12, which then reduces to negative 4. So your final answers are 6 and negative 4.
Okay. That one was easier because
Because it's pretty.
yeah.
Yeah. Is this helping, walking through a few of them together?
Yes.
Making it a little better?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're going to do this next one kind of like we did the last one, and I'm going to have you guys walk me through what to do. And so I don't know how big the numbers are, but probably need your calculators ready, because sometimes these numbers get a little big, like that one had some big numbers in it.
Yep. Okay. So 6a squared.
Oh, look, more to erase. Sorry. I wish there was a way to just wipe the slate clean. 6a squared
Minus 110 equals 8a.
Okay, once again, in order to get it in standard form, I need to get my 8a over onto the other side. So I'm going to subtract 8a from both sides. And to put it in standard form, I'm going to have 6a squared minus 8a minus 110 equals 0. So what is a?
6a.
You just have to write the 6.
Oh.
So you don't have to worry about adding the coefficients are just. Oh, hang on, guys. I'm sorry to do this to you, but I have a repairman coming to the house. Hold on. Hello. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. All right. All right. My repairman's going to be here in 15 minutes, so I may have to go let him in. Okay. Mo's going to try and help us out, but sorry about that, guys.
That's fine.
Okay. So what is B?
Negative 8.
Good job. And what is C?
Negative 110.
Negative 110. Oh, good. We have some big numbers again. All right. So now let's work on plugging in the numbers. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do, what is it?
X equals the opposite of negative 8, so 8.
positive, negative.
Yes. So it would turn to a positive. So, but that's right, Lily. It's the opposite of -8. Good job, you guys working together. So it's 8. And then the next thing is what?
Positive, negative.
Plus or minus, positive, negative. And then that square root. And then what goes in here?
8, -8 squared.
-8 squared. Good job. Minus, and then what's next?
So 4, right?
Yes, 4 times.
8 times b, so times 6 times -110.
Good job. And that's all over 2 times a, which in this case is 6. So we have 8 plus or minus the square root of 64. And then we have -4 times 6, which is -24. And then -24 times a -110. It's 2,000. Oh, yeah. It's
640.
2,640. Is that what y'all got too?
Mm-hmm.
All over 12. Okay, so now we've got 8 plus or minus 64 plus 2,640. I got 2,704. How about you guys?
Yeah,
What'd you get?
I got that too.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't look like it's gonna be
You sound so excited.
yeah.
So try and see, is that a perfect square? If you take the square root of that?
Oh, it is. It's 50.
It is.
It is. Woo.
So that's always a good place to start, is just see if it is.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense to you guys? And then if it isn't, then you start your factoring. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Is that a good step?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we have x equals 8 plus or minus 52, because that's the square root of 2704. And 8 plus 52 is 60 over 12, which reduces to 5. And 8 minus 52 is -54. Is that what you get too?
Hmm?
So then that reduces to,
Wait, 52 minus 8?
oh, 44. My bad. The struggle's real.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see, 4 goes into both of those. That's going to be -11 over 3. So 5 and -11 over 3.
Okay.
Did everybody get that written down?
Yes.
Did anybody else join us in Math Lab?
I think so.
Okay. I probably shouldn't have erased the answers first. Sorry about that. What number are we on now? 15?
16.
16. Oh. Are y'all going to want to do some more after 16? Do you want to do a few more from yesterday's review?
I think I'll be good.
Yeah, I'm good.
You'll be good after this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I will do as many as y'all need. I'm here for you. And then also, if you go back to try some after we get off Math Lab, and you get stuck, please let me know. I will work them out and I'll send you a picture, or I'll do a Google Hangout, or I'll do whatever I need to do. Just let me know if you need my help, okay?
Okay. Could we, after this one, could we go over just one of the square roots so I have it fresh in my brain?
Yes,
Just making sure.
absolutely. Are you talking about from the top of the page?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Will you read me the next problem, please?
P squared plus 16 equals negative 10p.
Did I write it correctly?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Once again, we need to get it in standard form. So we're going to add 10p to both sides to get all of our terms on one side.
P squared plus 10p plus 16.
Okay, so now what is A?
Would that be just, it would just be 1, right?
Yes, ma'am. What is B?
10.
What is C?
16.
Good job. So now X equals, what's the first thing I write?
The opposite of B.
Which is?
Negative 10.
Good job. What's next?
Positive, negative.
Square
And then, now what do I write?
The square root of 10 squared.
squared
Good job.
minus 4 times 1 times 16.
Good job. Y'all are doing great. All over what?
2 times 1.
Which is 1.
Mm-hmm.
2a. All right. So now we have negative 10 plus or minus the square root of 100, because 10 squared is 100, minus 4 times 1 times 16 is minus 64. All over 2.
We're going to get ready for what?
X equals negative 10 plus or minus, and then 100 minus 64 is 36, all over 2. So now we have X equals negative 10. And what's the square root of 36?
6.
Good job. All over 2. So negative 10 plus 6 is negative 4 over 2, which equals negative 2. And negative 10 minus 6 is negative 16 over 2, which equals negative 8.
Okay.
Did y'all get those?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, let's go back to the squared, you said, to make sure we have these. All right, so for this first one, I would divide both sides, because what you're trying to do is get that x, the squared variable all by itself. So I'm going to divide both sides by 16. And so then I've got x squared equals 36 over 16. And if I take the square root of both of those, that's the same as taking the square root of 36 over the square root of 16. So what's the square root of 36?
6.
What's the square root of 16?
4.
4. Yeah.
4. And then that reduces to 3/2. But all of this is plus or minus. Okay? Because there's 2 answers. Let me write that a little better for you guys. It's not like my handwriting is super neat on this thing anyway, but. Okay. Now, over here on this one, we would divide both sides by 49. And that leaves us with x squared equals 9 over 49. So we take the square root of both sides. What's the square root of 9?
3, I think.
What's the square root of 49?
Is it 7?
Yes, ma'am. So it's plus or minus 3/7.
Okay.
So then number 3, you would subtract 10 from both sides. I think something similar to this came up on both reviews. And you have m squared equals 0.
Mm-hmm.
And the square root of 0 is 0.
Okay, I get it, Miss Sparks.
Yeah, I
Okay.
got that.
One other one. Let's see. I did all of these actually work out to be. I just was trying to make sure if there were any that weren't perfect squares, but there aren't. Okay?
Okay.
Y'all feel good about it then?
Yes.
Okay. Any more questions?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Well, email me if you do. Okay.
Okay, thank
All right. Y'all have a blessed day.
You too.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.